Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to pin this thing on X so people can see it. Okay, welcome to the Goud Crowd. I'm your host, Goud, and we're back for another exciting Monday. I think we have kind of an interesting show today. So we'll talk about. Let's see, what do I have? I have a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about Nate blew in. He's a fascinating topic. We'll talk about. The Rule 60B motion that we won last week for Michael Clara. I think there's some significance to it, and then I'll kind of talk about next steps as we go forward. Talk about axe attacks. I hope everybody has signed the petition, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And then we'll also have Melanie Monasteri on. She is the vice chair of the Utah Republican Party, and she's going to tell us about caucuses, the effort to repeal Prop 4. There's lots going on. And then finally, we will close the show today with Back Home with Brandy. She's got some reporting from Illinois. And as you know, one of our themes on this show is that we like to look to states that have gone crazy and leftist to try to prevent that from happening in Utah. And Illinois is my home state, and it is sad what has happened to that place. Yeah, it was a fantastic place to grow up. It's a beautiful state, really beautiful, wonderful people. But I will just say it has gone batshit crazy, and I don't think there's any saving it. So very unfortunate. Anyway, let's start with axe attacks. So today is Monday, February 2nd. The deadline for us to turn in all signatures is Monday, February 9th. So we are now in that last 7-day period. If you haven't signed it, you need to get out there and sign the petition. And let me just show you. We'll go to the website. We should have a bunch of events this week where you can sign the petitions. But what I wanted to tell all of you is that we also have community hosts throughout the county who have opened their homes up and businesses so that you can go and you can sign the petitions. And you should take advantage of it because everybody that signed up wants you to come to their homes and to sign the petition. And so here you can see we've got there's a 7-Eleven in Taylorsville that's open 24/7. So I mean that's like a great opportunity to get a Slurpee and then and sign the petition. You can go to Backyard Birds. It's a store I think in the Salt Lake City area. Postnet in Draper. Apparently Postnet in Draper has been going crazy and collecting hundreds of signatures. So it's a hot location. We've also got all of these community hosts after that. You see them listed here. These are all people that have opened up their homes so that you can go and sign the petitions at their home. I've had a bunch. My house is actually on here. So, usually I'm a little bit weird about people seeing my address, but it is on here, and you can come to my house and you can sign the petition. If you're interested, I have both petitions, the axe attacks petition. So that's a petition to put Salt Lake County's 15% property tax increase onto the ballot. And then I also have a petition to repeal Prop 4 if you want to sign that as well. So you can come to my house, you can sign both. If you want, you can have a piece of chocolate, can have a little conversation. I've had a bunch of my neighbors that have come over and we've actually been able to catch up and have nice conversations and stuff like that. So I totally welcome anybody to come. It's been a really great experience. So take advantage of your neighbors that have opened their homes up because they've done this because they want you to come. It's an open door. And you can see in the right-hand column, people have put their phone numbers. So just text them before you're going to head over, make sure that they're home, make sure they're available. And I think you'll find that people are very welcoming. They're very happy to have you over. Now, one other thing, I'll show you. I made a video today from my house after I put up some signs. So I'll show you that. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. And here we go. I will say this video is a little bit weird because
I am actually here at a community host site. This is actually my house in Riverton, and I am hosting people to come and sign the petition.
Okay, I'll just say it's a little bit. I don't understand why it was this blurry, so I apologize. But anyway, the point is, see, I've got signs at my house. Come over, sign the petitions, take advantage of your community host. That was the whole point of this post, and that's what I'm just urging everybody to do. Also, my hair is kind of messy, but whatever. That is life. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me see if there's anything else I had on that. Oh, and then this week, actually, there should be a heavy series of events throughout Salt Lake County, culminating, I think there's supposed to be like 20 events on Saturday to sign both the Axe the Tax and the Repeal Prop 4 petition. So fantastic opportunities. Please take advantage of them. And I'll just tell you, look, I'm working with a group of volunteers. We are burning the midnight candle here. I mean, I've never seen such dedication. And I've run for office and had people volunteer for me and be willing to spend hours and hours and hours with them. This is even more than when I ran for example, county clerk, and I had a massive number of volunteers who just came forward and willing to help me out. There are people all over the county that have been taking these petitions. I'll just give you an example. I was talking to one of my buddies in the National Guard, and he told me that he went to a family dinner and his mother came to the family dinner with an Axe the Tax petition and was collecting signatures. And he said that she went up to her and was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to sign this petition?" And started explaining what it was. And he was like, "Bob, I know what you're talking about. I'm friends with the guy who actually helped organize it." So, it's really inspiring. And I talked about this last time. I'm going to try to talk about it without getting emotional, but it is really inspiring to see the number of people that are willing to put their free time into going out and collecting signatures from people so that we can make Salt Lake County affordable. Nobody in this county can afford a 15% property tax increase. It's outrageous. It's unnecessary. And this is our opportunity to have our voices heard and put it on the ballot. So I urge all of you, take advantage of these opportunities. This is an all volunteer effort. And so they're putting out everything they can to make this available to you. It's on the citizens of Salt Lake County now to take advantage of those opportunities and help us hit the minimum threshold of signatures that we need. Okay. Now, last week, we're going to move on to the next topic. Last week, I did a whole show on this, but Michael Clara had this grandma request to the Utah Attorney General's office, where he was seeking documents related to Governor Cox's signature petitions for the 2024 gubernatorial race. Now, if you watch the show regularly, you probably already know that Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson stole the 2024 GOP primary. They are not legitimate. And so let me just show you guys this. We'll go a little bit, I like to kind of go when I talk, I don't necessarily go linear here, but here we go. So today, Lieutenant Governor Henderson posted this on Facebook. If you notice, she's actually stopped posting on X because it is a it's not free, but a freer speech site, and she can't actually debate at all. And so instead now she's actually moved all of her posting to Facebook and Instagram, where she can control what people say. That's what's going on here as she prepares her 2028 run for governor, because it was recently confirmed by Holly Richardson, also known as Dr. Holly on the Hill, that she plans on running for governor in 2028. Now, she says here, Utah is leading the way in fair and secure elections. Ironic, because she stole the 24 GOP primary. This past week, I met with fellow secretaries of state in Washington, D.C. to collaborate and discuss best practices. I don't know what she would be discussing with them, because she literally cheated and stole the 24 GOP primary. And she did it because, let me just explain for people who are newer. In order to get onto the GOP primary ballot in Utah, you have to either at least get 40% of the delegate vote at the GOP convention. She and Governor Cox did not get that. They only got 30-some%, I think 32% of the vote. Really, it's actually shockingly bad because they're incumbents. So then the only way for them to get onto the ballot was to collect 28,000 verified signatures from Republican voters. They did not get those signatures. Their signature petitions were full of forged signatures. And so but because she controls the elections, she still put them on the ballot illegally. She violated our election laws when she did that. And she's been covering it up ever since. She will not let us see her signature petitions. Now, for those of you out there you're skeptical, right? I know how this works. I have seen some of Don Ibsen's signature petitions, and Don Ibsen used the exact same company to gather signatures that Lieutenant Governor Henderson and Governor Cox used. I feel like we actually should not call them Lieutenant Governor and Governor because they are illegitimate and they cheated. So maybe we just call them Dee Dee and Spence. So Dee Dee, I have seen Senator Ibsen's signature petition. Senator Ibsen actually won legitimately. So, and the forgeries on the signature petitions are obvious. They're obvious. It's so clear. Like you just look at them and you're like, oh, that's all fraud. They all look exactly the same. So she used the same company that Don Ibsen uses called Gathering Inc. And the same signature gatherers collected signatures for both campaigns, because what happens is when the signature gatherers go out, they actually have more than one signature petition with them. And so they'll go to a house because they get paid by signature, and they'll be like, hey, can you sign this one and this one and this one and this one? And that way it's efficient, right? That's the whole point of it. Well, she still hasn't released her signature petitions, her and Spence's signature petitions. And so the reason why she's not releasing them is because the fraud is so obvious that when the citizens of Utah see it, they're probably going to call for her to be impeached, and it'll destroy her political career. So this is a very manipulative liar in office. She's a cheater. And I would say actually she's a pathological liar. And we'll get into it in a minute, because she claimed to have done this audit. But as you read through there's a second sheet I didn't know about before, where she gives more details about the citizenship audit. And I'm just going to tell you, even the statistics that she put out in her letter are lies. I mean, I have never seen a person, man or woman, who lies as much as Deidre Henderson. I don't know. I actually don't know how anyone listens to her. I feel bad for her husband because she probably lies to him too. Pathological liars will lie to everybody because it's just kind of a default mechanism. So she says, I'm proud of the work our state is doing in shoring up this fundamental right. #built here. Well, just so everyone knows, she went to the National Association of Secretary of State's meeting in, I think it's in DC. I filed a grammar request today to get all the videos of her speaking, because she's allowed kind of these selective releases of quotes from it. So I asked for all the videos, all the documentation she was given at the meeting, plus all of the information about who paid for her travel, if her husband went with her, who paid for his travel, if any of her staff went with her, who paid for their travel. We have a right to know what's going on here, because this woman is setting herself up to run in 28, and we want to make sure she doesn't cheat again, because she already did it once, and I got to tell you, not happening again. I have heard a rumor that as more and more information comes out about the theft of the 24 GOP primary, that Governor Cox has told people that he plans on throwing Deidre under the bus. And I just want to make this very clear. While I appreciate that, accountability is coming for both of them. It's not just, Dee Dee is not the only one that cheated in the 24 GOP primary. Other people were involved as well. Governor Cox knew about it, so he's not getting a free pass because he throws her under the bus. Plus, I think even her director of elections, Ryan Cowley, I think he knew about it. And Brian McKenzie, the Davis County clerk, knew about it. But I think people in their staffs also knew about it. And so all of those people have to go. This accountability is about making clear, if you were involved in cheating or helping that cheating, you need to go. You don't belong in public office. In fact, you should be in prison, but since I don't think we're going to get there, you at least need to be out of the public office. I'd be for stripping people of their pensions as well. But, I feel like we're not there yet as a country. We need to get there, though, because we need to prevent stuff like this from happening again. Okay, so let's talk about a 60B motion. Got a little distracted. We have, we filed, Michael Clara. Oh, Caroline says, thanks for having us over, God. So Caroline actually came over to my house with a friend of hers, and they signed the Axe the Tax petition and the Prop 4 repeal. So thank you. I appreciate you guys coming over. Send anybody else over who wants to come over. I am happy to have them to my house. You have to excuse some of the mess downstairs. I had this, like my basement flooded, and I was thinking about moving, and I changed my mind, but I haven't quite gotten everything resettled yet. But you're welcome to come over. And then you're welcome to post about the mess of my house, but because I want your signature. Okay, so anyway, Michael Clara, he had filed this grammar request, and he asked the Attorney General for all documents related to investigations of Spencer Cox's signature petitions for the 2024 GOP primary. In response, the Attorney General's office said, we have no responsive records. Then when he appealed it to Daniel Burton, who was the chief administrative officer at the time and has now been promoted to the deputy, I think he's a deputy attorney general. Like, embarrassing, really embarrassing. But he's now the deputy attorney general. And he actually said, so when Michael appealed to him, he said, I am aware of your investigation number AG 24170 and that Special Agent Mikkel Jordan went and asked people about their signatures being forged on Governor Cox's signature petitions. In response, Daniel Burton said, we have no responsive records to your request. Michael Clara then took it to the State Records Committee at the time, which has now been dissolved. And the Rebecca Shaw, who's the executive secretary, refused to schedule it for a hearing. Okay, even though Michael Clara said, I have evidence that they have responsive records and they're lying about it, including a copy of a business card from Special Agent Mikkel Jordan with the number AG 24170 about it. On it, he also said, I am going to bring witnesses who were interviewed by Special Agent Jordan to the hearing so they can testify. Rebecca Shaw refused to schedule it. He then took it to district court. At district court, the Attorney General's office continued to lie about the existence of responsive records. They actually filed a motion for summary judgment where they again asserted that there were no responsive records to Michael Clara's grammar request. At that point, the court actually, at that point, Michael didn't have anything to respond with because they had spent months and months lying about the existence of responsive records, which again, this should raise questions in people's minds about the Attorney General's office and whether we actually have good people working there. I'm kind of beginning to question that. I know some people that work there that are actually good, but they ain't the ones working on this case. And so, so then Michael didn't respond because he had nothing to respond with to their motion for summary judgment, and judgment was entered. I think about, I'm trying to think here, maybe like a month and a half after judgment was entered, a whistleblower came forward and gave Michael a copy of the report for AG 24170. That was one of the things he had been asking for in his grammar request. So all this time, the Attorney General's office is saying, no, there's no responsive records. There's no responsive records. It turns out there were responsive records. AG 24170 actually indicates that there are additional responsive records that should have been produced to Michael, or at least the existence of those records should have been disclosed, and the Attorney General's office should have then asserted a privilege. But the reason they didn't is because they didn't want people to know that there was an investigation into Governor Cox's signature petitions, because they were covering up the fraud, the cheating. So after we got that, I didn't represent Michael through that time. But after he got the report, I was like, hey, we should file what's called a Rule 60B motion and ask the court to relieve you of the judgment so that we can go in now and litigate the case, because the disclosure of this report shows that everything they said was a lie. So we went to the court and we did it under 60B2 and 60B3. 60B2 is for newly discovered evidence, 60B3 is because the opposing party engaged in misconduct, fraud, or misrepresentation. So we had oral argument last Tuesday. I think some of you might have listened to it. There were like 50 people online, which is wild. It made me a little bit nervous. And then there were like 20 people that showed up in person. And by the way, I think it's great. You should really, I'll tell people, you should go and you should listen to hearings and stuff, because you'll learn a lot. It's very informative. And you'll learn about the process, how litigation works, how lawyers argue, how judges are. It's really, I think, an interesting process. So anyway, so we had oral argument, and then the judge, well, for the Attorney General's office, actually kept making what I would consider to be misrepresentation. So for example, Mr. Producer says, sounds boring to me. Well, that's because he didn't show up. I think people thought it was interesting, but so then, like, the Attorney General's office claimed in their oral argument that Michael Clara raised the issue. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Raised the issue of AG 24-170 for the first time after judgment was entered, but that was false. That was totally false. And the judge actually said that when she issued her ruling, where she granted our motion under Rule 60B2, so for newly discovered evidence. Once she did that, I pretty much thought she wouldn't grant 60B3, because 60B3 is a little bit harder to get to, because you have to show clear and convincing evidence of that fraud, misrepresentation. And so she actually denied that part of the motion, but she granted us what we wanted. Regardless of which basis we got it under, the end result would be the same. We would get the judgment lifted, and now we can litigate the case. So we got what we wanted. The case is reopened. The next, and it's significant because it was up against the Attorney General's office. And, you know, if you understand how this works, like, I used to work for the tax division at the Department of Justice, so the federal Department of Justice. And, you know, when you are working for these, like the Attorney General, right, whether it's federal or state, you actually get a lot of credibility when you go to court, because the judges see you a lot. They work with you, basically. And so when you go up against them as a litigant, it's actually harder to litigate against them, because they already have a lot of credibility with the court. So you have to come in and you have to overcome that with evidence and arguments and stuff like that. In this case, we were successful. So now the next step, though, is that we have to, now that it's reopened, we are now going to want to do discovery. And so we'll see where this goes. We're going to meet and confer with them and tell them what kinds of discovery we want to do, because I think part of what we want to see is, did you actually make a reasonable search for the records? There's a question about interpretation here. It is my view, based on the evidence that I've seen, that they purposely interpreted Michael Clara's request as narrowly as possible, because they did not want to disclose that there was an investigation into Spencer Cox's signature petitions. So that was a very deliberate, concerted effort to cover up that investigation. And we're going to try to uncover it. And then we're going to want all the documents that are mentioned in AG 24-170. That is my view. Those are responsive to what Michael requested. We'll see what they agree to. If they won't agree to what we want, then we're going to have to make a motion to reopen discovery and justify it to the court, and we'll go from there. I think that this is a good thing. It's a good development, and we'll see where we go from here. But I think there's a lot. It's heading in the right direction, and we'll do the work so that hopefully we can get the result that we're looking for. All right, so that was that. Now we'll do a little continuation of Dee Dee's her citizenship audit of the voter rolls. So I think last week we talked about how Deidre Henderson was doing this, announced a citizenship audit, and then last week she put out a letter, and there's a lot of press coverage of this, where she claimed that she wanted to put out preliminary results of her amazing citizenship audit, and she claimed that 99.9% of Utah voters are verifiably U.S. citizens. Now, the first letter that she put out these are both put out on the same day, but they're very different. But the first one is kind of generic, but there was a second one I did not know about until Lindsay Ertz posted it. And so here it is. Now we'll go through this because I found this to be really interesting. Okay, so here's what she does. First, she says in the first paragraph here that initially she did a driver's license cleanup. So from April through August of 2025, she announced, I think, the citizenship audit in April. And so for the first 4 months of it, she says that they work with the driver's license division to match voter records with driver's license division records. This first pass helped clean up 39,292 voter records that were missing either driver's license numbers or social security numbers. Now, 39,292 records out of 2 million, that's about 4%, right? Isn't that right? 4%. So just on the initial run, she said remember when she put out her letter, she said 99.9% of Utah voters are verifiably US citizens. Well, in her letter itself, she's saying that she identified almost 40,000 who didn't have driver's license numbers or social security numbers, which means that they were not verified as US citizens. And so that's actually 4%. It's not 99.9%. Now, we don't actually know what happened with these 40,000. Did she somehow verify their citizenship? I don't know. If you read the letter, it's very unclear. What happened with them? Where are these, did you eliminate them from the voter rolls? Okay, then that's fine, but what happened? So that's their first 40,000 right there. Then she says they took 2,069,640 records, and then they began a two-step driver's license division VISTA matching process. And this is where I get really confused. So VISTA is where they track voter registration records, right? And if you look here, it says VISTA flags citizenship as either yes or no. The problem is I don't understand how VISTA is flagging citizenship. And this is what I mean. I've had discussions with Ryan Cowley. He's the director of elections for the state. If you've ever been to a hearing, he's very hard to miss because he is a very large man. Huge. Okay, so I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying that he's a huge, very large man. He's lost some weight, so good for him, but hard to miss. So he told me that when you register to vote, if you write your driver's license number on your voter registration system, they go to the driver's license division to verify it's your driver's license. But when I went back and asked him if they can tell you if the person is a citizen, a legal immigrant, or an illegal immigrant, he never answered that question. Same thing, if you put a social security number, they go to the Social Security Administration and they verify it's your social security number. But then when I asked him again, because citizens and legal immigrants get the exact same social security number. Same thing with driver's licenses. We get the same driver's license as legal immigrants. I asked him, do they clarify if it's a citizen or legal immigrant? And he never answered the question. But VISTA doesn't have any those types of records in it, so I'm not sure what it's flagging based on. My assumption is that the flag is based on whether you check the box saying that you're a citizen. And you'll see why I think that in a minute. On the driver's license piece, they are claiming that the driver's license division is flagging citizenship as yes, no, or unknown and missing. The question, though, I have here is based on what? I'd like to know. I want to know more about this to understand better how the driver's license division is actually verifying citizenship. So, okay, so out of this, she says 96% of the voters were confirmed in both databases as yes, which we consider to be a confirmed US citizen. Again, this isn't giving you a lot of data about what document they're looking at to verify someone's a citizen. Then she said so this means 73,808 were unmatched. She says, this means the driver's license division and VISTA citizenship flags conflicted with each other or unconfirmed voters. So those are the voters that they then had to take and somehow confirm again the citizenship on top of the 40,000 in the first paragraph. So then she says, because this woman is a Democrat. I just want you to understand. Dee Dee Henderson is a Democrat. And oh, hey, Mr. Producer, I just realized we don't have the phone number up if people want to call in. This is the Goud Crowd, by the way, and I'm your host, Goud. You can call in if you want. We'll put the phone number up. Oh, and he also have to say this. You are listening to the Goud Crowd on KMMU, Main Street Media, Utah. We're live on X, Rumble, YouTube, and our website, KMMU. Follow, subscribe, and share. And thanks for listening. Yeah, definitely share, like it. It helps it get a little bit more viral and for more people to listen. So anyway, they have these 73,808 unmatched voter records. Then they take 71,314 of them and they put them into the saved database. Turns out 2,494 they couldn't put into there because they didn't have social security numbers. We don't know what happened to those. No idea. I don't know where those things went. Then she says 88% of the records were confirmed as citizens by the saved database, meaning 12% were left over. Then she took those 12% that were left over and she narrowed them down to 2,119 who could not be verified by any prior method and were active voters born outside the US. So she's narrowing this down to basically nothing. For the 2,119 voters, they looked for citizenship attestation. That means you check the box in your voter registration form and place and date of naturalization. Literally, they're looking to see if you check the box that you're a US citizen. That's part of this. They were able to find naturalization information for 1,633 of them, but then there were 486 voters that they could not, and they sent them letters. Now, here's the bottom line. Number one is when you register to vote, they're already checking driver's license, social security. So this is not an audit, what they did here. Going and checking driver's license and social security is what you were supposed to have done in the first place anyway. So to go back and do the same thing over again isn't an audit. That's doing the same thing over again. All of the voter records need to be put into the saved database so that we can get a different look at what happened here. Number two, I don't even think she should be doing the audit because she was supposed to have made sure that the voter rolls were clean in the first place. And she has proven time and time again that she's not a trustworthy person. This woman cheated and stole an election in Utah. We cannot have her now doing audits of the voter rolls. We need a third party to do it. What happened here doesn't make any sense. Three, there are literally voters in her own sheet here. I don't know what happened to them. Like, what happened here? Where are these 39,292 voters? Did they get taken off the voter rolls because they don't have a driver's license or social security number? Or did she just move on from that? Where did they go? Then on the 8,830, then remember the 73, there's 2,000, these 2,494 that did not have a social security number. What did she do with those? Did she check to make sure that they're actually citizens? Or are they still on the voter rolls? Or did she just take them off? I don't know. So that's so far, we've got like 42,000 voters who are just missing in her own audit. We have no idea what happened to these people. And then we'll see what happens with these 486. But also, one more thing is I want to know if these people voted. The 39,292 who didn't have a driver's license or social security number when they registered to vote, but we put them on the voter rolls, have they voted in the past? Where are they located? Are they in Salt Lake County? Are they in Utah County? Which county clerk? Is there a pattern? Maybe one county clerk has let more of them through than others. I want to know all this stuff. We don't have enough information and we need to ask for it because, like I have said, Lieutenant Governor Henderson is not trustworthy. Okay, so anyway, that's the point. This audit is not a good audit. We need way more information. I was debating maybe doing a grammar request for it because, like, I think there's just a lot of this raises questions. And the sad part is our media just reports stuff without asking any tough questions at all. I'll just give you an example. Here's The Salt Lake Tribune. Well, they're kind of embarrassing. So here, this is KUTV, which actually, like KUTV does some good reporting. So I was kind of disappointed to see this, but they just repeated. What she wrote. This is not accurate. It's wrong. I may contact my friend over there and tell him, like, hey, you guys got to ask more questions of this woman because this is not accurate information. Let's see. She runs and falls, says, did Harmeet Dillon request rolls? Was that just for federal elections? She did request a copy of the voter rolls. And I think there was a hearing in a district court somewhere else where the assistant U.S. attorney or the whatever it was, the trial attorney for Civil Rights Division said that they're in negotiations with Utah about that voter roll request. So I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully at some point, Harmeet Dillon will actually sue Utah to get those voter rolls. But I think part of the problem we have now is we've got all these activist district judges that are undermining federal laws that give individual citizens a right to see the voter rolls, and the same thing with the Department of Justice. They just had a case in Oregon where, because DOJ has different authorities than individual citizens, I think, to be able to access the state voter rolls. So I represented Phil Lyman in a case where the district court judge dismissed it based on standing. I think we talked about that last week. But that was under the National Voter Registration Act. When the Department of Justice comes in, they do it under the NVRA and HAVA, the Help America Vote Act. So they've got some additional authorities that we don't have. But in Oregon, a district court judge dismissed their lawsuit seeking Oregon's voter registration rules. And again, though, it was an activist district court judge, I think appointed by Biden. So you can kind of see these judges that they put in place are just left-wing nut jobs. And the problem is that because Congress is, I think for a lot of the men who are Republicans in Congress, their testicles have yet to descend. And so they don't really understand where we are and the necessity to impeach these judges when they are not following the law. You have to impeach judges and remove them from office, or they'll abuse their positions of power. And by the way, this happens in the state too. Utah is no different. We've had, Stuart Adams, who protected his rapist granddaughter, has put tons of Democrats onto the bench. They abuse the laws, and it has a real impact on Utahns. And let me just say, despite that, they won't impeach any of the judges. So now with this whole Prop 4 thing, they want to repeal Prop 4. The actual simple solution to all of this is to impeach and remove Judge Gibson from the bench. But in the same way that the men in Congress are waiting for their testicles to descend, the men in Utah's legislature are essentially the same. And I don't know if their testicles will ever descend. So it's unfortunate, but it is where we are. But if they impeached one judge in Utah, this whole thing would be fixed. You wouldn't need to be spending money to collect signatures to repeal Prop 4, nothing. It's free, it's easy to do. And then stop confirming activist judges to the court. That's the second piece of it. I'll just show, and I want to show you guys this because you can kind of see what I mean. So here you go. This is every time that they confirm a judge, they put out these. So this is what you and let me just add, Charles Stormont is a Democrat. He ran for the Attorney General's position in Utah as a Democrat, and then our Senate unanimously confirmed him to be a district court judge. I get frustrated because I'm like, okay, so you get a supermajority Republican Senate, and they go into power. First of all, they put this creep Stuart Adams as their president. I mean, he is morally depraved. His 18-year-old granddaughter raped a 13-year-old, and he actually sent a letter to the judge to get her off easy. This is a this man should not be the president of the Senate. But on top of that, they're constantly putting in these activist judges. And then when Republican delegates, or we brought it up at the state central committee, when you say something, they get defensive. They keep telling us that they fixed it, but I haven't seen it. This doesn't seem that complicated. Part of the problem, I think, is that they have actually outsourced a lot of their judicial selection to like these like nonprofits or the bar or something. They do like a weird system, and I think that opens it up to activists getting into those and then putting up Democrats to go into the courts. You have to understand that is not how judges should be selected, and that is not how they should be confirmed. We elect a governor. I mean, in this case, we didn't elect. I think he's illegitimate, but like Cox is the governor, and so he should be selecting people for the bench, and then the Senate should either confirm or not, and they should actually do a tough questioning and due diligence on every single person that comes before them. But they don't do it. There's too much of this. Oh, we want to be nice. Oh, we don't want to be contentious. That's a big thing in Utah. No one ever wants to be contentious, and so they just go on putting in complete disasters into our courts. And yes, she runs and falls. You are right. Many Republicans are squishes. It's sad. All right, but speaking of which, let's have a little fun for a minute. Here is I thought this was a really good video. I guess this could be Nate Bluin's next campaign ad. Here we go. I think this is a very accurate ad of what he stands for. So.
Hi, I'm Nate Bluin, Democrat candidate for Utah's 1st Congressional District. The field of Democrats vying to represent Salt Lake in Congress has gotten pretty crowded, and there's no shortage of gay liberals to pick from. But trust me when I say that there's plenty of things about me that make me uniquely qualified to be the Democrat nominee. First and foremost, I'm an avid outdoorsman. I absolutely love dressing in hot pink and riding my bike. I just love the feeling of a hard, firm bike seat between my legs. I was also endorsed by Bernie Sanders and have modeled my political career after him by living off taxpayers for most of my adult life. Most importantly, of course, is my record of gay activism. I know there's a great selection of gay candidates in the field already, including Ben McAdams, Derek Kitchen, and Ava Lopez Chavez. But have any of them praised child drag show?
Okay, wait, hold on. Sorry. I just have to. Okay, hold on. Let's stop here for a minute.
And Ava.
Okay, I am sorry. Look, Ava is an attractive lesbian. I would give her that. But what is with those shorts? Those look horrible. So horrible. Please burn them. We don't want to see you. Those look like jorts. They're horrid. Burn them. Get rid of them. Anyway, it's nice to see like an attractive lesbian running for office, but those are awful, Ava. Get rid of the shorts. We don't like them. Okay, sorry.
Lopez Chavez. But have any of them praised child drag shows like I have? Yes, this is a real post I tweeted in 2023. I mean, come on. Tell me that kid doesn't have moves. And to any moderates who are unsure about me, don't worry. I'm great at finding common ground with Republicans when it makes sense. I followed Spencer Cox's example by blocking anybody even slightly critical of me. Because we all have to disagree better, am I right? But rest assured, when Republicans are mean to me by asking me to explain my record, I'll fight for you by running away and refusing to debate them. So if you want a true liberal champion to protect Salt Lake City values in Congress, vote for me. I won't let you down. Wow, that kid really does have moves.
Okay, anyway, Mr. Producer says, Big Rock makes great videos. You should invite him on as a guest. We shall. Oh, we should actually. Does he do podcast appearances? I have no idea. I just couldn't laugh at that. The best part of that video is when he says, "There's so many gay candidates in this race." You've got Ben McAdams, Derek Kitchen, and then Ava Chavez Lopez. Oh man, that was great. Susan Beretta says, "Ugh, Nate, word." Granted, Susan, he would never represent me, so I have at least that going for me. She runs and falls, says, my gay friend, lesbians, they're the worst. Oh. No comment. I want to be fair because there's actually some really great conservative lesbians in Utah. I don't want to insult them, but I do feel like the lesbian existence is kind of lacking in general. I feel bad for them. Okay, let's see. We got that. Oh, here's another one. I'm not going to actually play the sound on this video because I just can't stand listening to Nate Bluin. It's too much. But I did want to point out, just on this point about the courts, right? So they're expanding the Utah Supreme Court by 2 justices. And I'll just say, I actually think this makes sense because our courts are actually very slow, and the Supreme Court is a complete disaster. I mean, they hardly even issue any opinions per year. And there's an argument that they're overloaded, and so adding a couple more justices would be helpful. Okay, fine. Now, for some reason, people like Nate have their panties in a bunch because they think that although all the justices on the court right now are to the left, that by some magical standard, the Utah Senate is now going to put 2 conservatives on that court. It's not going to happen. You guys, actually, the left should be celebrating because they'll just get 2 more justices, just like the ones that are on there. They will be to the left. They'll be activists. For years and years, the only criteria they were using to put judges on the bench were whether they were women. And it's Utah, so specifically whether they were white women. And so the courts are full of white women. Most of them are liberal. And I'm sure that these 2 seats that have opened up on the Utah Supreme Court will also be filled with white women. They'll be liberals. I don't have an issue with white women, but I'm not a fan of the liberal ones. And that's what this will be. So Nate Bluin's complaining, but really, like, he's just going to get 2 more justices. It'll be just as much to the left. Nothing's going to change because the Utah Senate hasn't changed. They have the exact same, freak show going on over there. You got the Stuart Adams, who protects his rapist 18-year-old granddaughter. Yeah, Mike McKell, who is Mike McKell. He is the governor's brother-in-law. And I think he's a little bit of a bigot, if I'm honest with you. And then you got Todd Weiler, who I think is really into gay rights, or whatever his version of gay rights is, and trannies. So, that's all he ever talks about. Yeah, kind of makes me wonder about his proclivities. And then the whole thing, like, there's not really conservatives there, so you're not going to get conservative justices. So if you're a Democrat, you should celebrate. You should want the court to be 20 people. It'll be all leftists. But I guess, like, having to hyperventilate and be a freak is the way this works. Okay, let's see what time. Well, we have 10 more minutes. I got to figure out what I want to talk about next because I'm just kind of. Ooh, okay. Here's what I want to talk about. So this week, a business was raided in West Valley City, and it had illegal employees. So here, let me share this. And what I want to tell people is, as conservatives, part of what we need to start doing is to actually we need to start boycotting businesses that hire illegals. Now, in this video, I don't know that I'll play. We could play some.
With the warrant. Look at these. Look at these. Where's your guys' warrant?
The latest thing by the left is if an illegal alien is running away from ICE or Border Patrol and they run into a business, it's a free pass and they get to stay. That's essentially the argument here. Oh, I can't believe you broke our window because we had illegal alien employees. And so, and once they're inside, you can't come and get them. They get to break the law inside of our building. Now, of course, if you're an American, those rules don't apply to you, right? They can come into that business and they can arrest you. In fact, all the rules apply to us. We have to pay massive amounts of taxes. You do anything fucking wrong, they'll come to your house. If you're January 6th, think about January 6th, right? They open the doors, they let all these people in. The whole thing is totally orchestrated by law enforcement on purpose. They shoot into the crowd all these munitions. to get them riled up because it was a peaceful protest, and they purposely got them riled up. They killed multiple people. And then after they open the doors and let the people in, they then run around and they're breaking their doors down. They're destroying their lives. The stuff they did is sick and disgusting. Full on Stasi. Those are your Nazis, the people that participated in the January 6th persecution, Nazis. And then what they do, the same people argue that illegal aliens can do whatever they want. There's no restrictions on these people. They can get jobs illegally. They don't have to pay taxes. They can get welfare illegally. They can get subsidized apartments, everything. We have to pay for it all. They get free health care. They undermine our wages. They undermine the working class in the country. I mean, I hear this all the time from people. Wages are lower than they should be because of the fact that illegal aliens are willing to work for less, and they're compliant. They won't do anything. They're like slaves because, you know, they know they can get reported, and they're scared about it. And well, to some extent, I guess not totally. And then if you think about it this way, also even our own state legislature, they've done things to help illegals and even legal immigrants evade the law. So in 2022, they voted to increase the threshold for an employer to have to use E-Verify. It went from, like, if you had 20 employees, you had to use it, to 150, which basically meant that 99% of employers in Utah don't have to use E-Verify anymore. That's why whenever you see a construction site, it's full of illegal aliens. Construction is the biggest place where they use all these illegals in their operations. I see it all the time. Even the government contracted construction companies have illegal labor. And I complain, just as an example, the Jordan River Conservatory District, I think that's what they call it now. They had a project all around my house, entire work crews that were only speaking Spanish. I complained, and they were clearly had just gotten here. I can tell. So for the people that are like, "Oh, you're racist," they're like, no. When someone is fresh off the boat, it's very obvious. Their mannerisms are different. The way they stand is different. The way they talk, everything. Being American it is very obvious when someone was born here or they've been here for a long time versus someone who just came here. So I complained to them, and the response was, "Oh, well, we asked them. They said that everybody there is legal." They didn't go and do any sort of a check or anything. And so they're using our tax money to now go and hire these companies that hire illegal aliens. The whole thing is disgusting. And it is being facilitated by elected officials. They also lowered the sentencing, the maximum sentencing on some crimes so that illegals and legal immigrants wouldn't be deported when they commit them. One of them was DUIs. So, like, if you get convicted for something and the punishment is less than a year, then you don't get deported. But if it's over a year, you get deported. Why would you lighten sentences so that a criminal immigrant can stay here of any status? Like, that's weird, right? They don't do it for Americans. Never for Americans. Only for immigrants of all status. Like, I just think it's disgusting. In our own country, we don't put Americans first. We put everybody else first. Everybody. You know, some random dude can show up from wherever, and suddenly we have a whole party whose entire existence is about, it's either, you know, supporting degenerates and freaks who support the trans agenda, and they push that everywhere, or it's running around literally having a militant uprising against illegal immigration enforcement. So that's all we have. I just think it's weird. I don't understand it. But anyway, my point is, if we know the businesses that are hiring illegals, we should start boycotting them. This one, I think, is called Viper. Oh, I posted about it. I'm telling you, people should boycott it. They had a couple of illegal aliens working there. They're in West Valley City. And I think the answer is, we're not coming to your business anymore. And I want you to go out of business. Because sometimes people will be like, "Oh, Goud, that person voted for Trump or something." And I'm like, I don't care who you voted for. If you are hiring illegals, I want you to go out of business. Your business isn't worth it. That one is called, I have it here somewhere. I think it's called Viper Auto Body. I can't find it. Anyway, oh yeah, Viper Auto Body in West Valley City. That was the business that was raided for having 2 illegals working there. So you should boycott them. I want them to go out of business. We don't need that. And it's on business owners to do a better job of making sure you're not hiring illegals. Like, stop doing that. You're undermining Americans. And here's the other piece of it. When we go to wars, it's Americans who go and fight. So to turn around and be like, oh, we need to give these corporations cheap labor. Fuck you. Sorry. That makes me passionate because it's like, we all sit here. We expect Americans to go fight in every godforsaken place in the world. And then they come home and we're like, oh, hey, all the jobs are taken up by immigrants, illegal and legal, H-1Bs, H-2Bs or H-2As, illegal aliens, green card holders. Like, fuck you. You want Americans to go and fight for you and you don't even want to give them jobs when they come home from it? If you notice, by the way, like the Democrats don't care about veterans at all. Not at all. But they care about illegal aliens. And I don't think the Republicans are that much better. Trump at least is somewhat better on it. I think he's a lot better than the general Republican who wants to satisfy their big business donors who want cheap labor. And you see this in Utah, by the way. Most of the legislature gets a lot of donations from construction companies that, again, like I said, biggest employers of illegal aliens, construction. Mr. Producer says, oh, he agreed. Oh, yeah. First of all, he says, oh, sure. Add more justices and pack the court. Okay. Yeah, you can say that. But like I said, it'll all be leftists. Trust me, we have a disastrous Senate. So they're not going to pack it any differently than it's been packed. And he agrees that businesses hiring illegal aliens should be prosecuted. I agree. They should be criminally prosecuted, thrown in jail, and then their business should be destroyed. Okay. Let's see. We should have Melanie coming on soon. So, let me see. I just checked my phone to make sure it was no issues. Let's see. Okay. Let me go here. Oh, okay. I had another good one. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about a little bit about is this whole Prop 4 repeal issue. Since I think we're going to have Melanie Monastery on. So let me we'll play this video real quick because this is kind of interesting. There is an effort to make it seem like signature gatherers are lying to people about what happens if you repeal Prop 4, right? This is kind of this propaganda. And it's because they don't want you to sign the Prop 4 repeal, which is fine. I mean, both sides can fight about stuff like that. But what I think is fascinating is to watch how they report on it. It's this guy. I'll show you the video and then we'll talk about it. Here.
I felt tricked, and I felt like lied to.
Tricked into signing the petition to repeal Prop 4. Shane Landon said it happened earlier this month.
They said, if you were to sign this, basically you're putting the power of where our districting is drawn out for maps in the hands of the people.
Okay. By the way, that's accurate. Just so we're all on the same page. What they told him is true because it would return it to the legislature, which means that's how the people exercise their power. You elect people to the legislature and then they draw the maps. If you don't like the maps, then you can not elect them back into office. Having a court draw a map is not an exercise. It's not the people exercising their power because we have no control over that judge. She, in this case, she's a dictator in black robes. That's all this is. And there's not really a check on their power at all, especially where we have a situation where the other branches won't push back. See, the way it's supposed to work is that when the judges get out of hand, this is both on the federal and state level, the legislature should be pushing back with impeachment or cutting the budget or getting rid of their law clerks. If you notice, none of that's happening. And so what you actually end up where we end up is in a situation where you have judicial supremacy and judges have way too much power. That's where Utah is right now. Okay, let's keep listening.
He signed but felt uneasy, so Landon researched the history of Prop 4 and the effort to repeal it.
I realized that it was the exact opposite of what they had described to me.
After hearing from Landon and others with similar complaints, we set out to talk to signature gatherers ourselves, having interactions with paid gatherers at 8 different locations in the last 2 days.
We get signatures, we can vote on it in November, and then at that point it's up to the people.
Several signature gatherers explained the effort accurately, like this man in South Jordan.
This is to get this initiative back on the ballot.
Most of the signature gatherers did not have us read the full text of the petition before asking us to sign, as is required by law, and 3 of the 8...
Like, no, I don't even know what that means. So they're supposed to make you read the whole thing? No one's going to do that. Oh, let's see, wait. A random tried to argue with me from her minivan while I was signing with the gatherer. Mind your own business, big mouth. That's what Caroline teaches math says. Okay. I like that. Interesting. Yeah, there's actually a big effort to stop people from signing the Prop 4 repeal initiative. It shows you, though, here's kind of, I think, the lesson to learn from this. The Democrats are extremely organized, and they have a lot of money that flows through Utah. And more of it will be coming here now because of this new CD1. So if you step back and understand this, right? Judge Gibson is a Democrat. I think that should be clear to people. And she created a Democrat district on purpose. In a way, it's a benefit, right? Because in a way, it's a benefit to us because of the fact that all the Democrats are sunk into one district. If you're going to redraw it like this, it's better to have that blue sink. But she did it because now it'll cause tons and tons of money to flow into Utah from Democrats, and it'll flip other things blue. And I think part of it will be because Utah's culture is a little bit what I would call susceptible to leftism. A lot of people here think they don't want to be seen as contentious. They don't want to be seen as difficult. And so they'll do things that are really against the interest of their families, their children, as long as it makes them look less contentious. So I think like we're in a very dangerous time here. But to the point on this is like, you sign this petition, you want the signature gatherer to what? Like they're supposed to force you to read the whole thing? No, it's all there for you to read it if you want to. But part of this is there's supposed to be human interaction going on where people talk to you. Like if someone tells you, first of all, the guy that told the Rastafarian with the dreadlocks, hey, if you sign this will put map drawing back in the hands of the people. That was accurate. That's exactly what it does. What happened with this Prop 4 stuff in Judge Gibson, where she just picked a random map that had no input. By the way, none of us have had input into that map. That was done by the quote, the Mormon Women for Ethical Government. I actually think that that group is an example of people wearing someone's faith as a skin suit and then just using it to undermine their values. So, but that's the thing. So that map was drawn by a nonprofit. They drew it without any input. And so the idea that we've had no input into that. Their donors have had input into that, not us. So yes, this would return it to the people. Susan Beretta says, when I was in the clerk's office this morning, somebody came in demanding to be taken off the petition. Oh, wow. Crazy. But see, that's the thing. They get people all ginned up like, oh, I signed it. I got duped. You got duped into what? How did you get duped? First of all, you look stupid when you're talking like that because you could have done a little bit. No one forced you to sign. You could have been like, hey, I want to go look into it. I'll sign a different day and then gone home and done research. But I guess it's cool to let people know that you're stupid. Or that you got duped. Maybe that's what I said.
Shared misinformation.
So all it is basically they just want to keep Utah red.
To keep Utah red?
Correct. They voted on it about 3 years.
They're using that term again, misinformation. That is the point of it, to keep Utah red. I agree with that. Like I just said, right, with the creation of the new Democrat district that the judge created, it's going to cause tons of money to flow into Utah from Democrats. It will turn stuff probably more blue. First, it's really unfortunate for those of us that live in Salt Lake County because Salt Lake County is already a disaster, very poorly run. We have like the worst the worst elected officials at the county level. Like, oh my God. Like the Jenny Wilson thing, I don't even understand. She's annoying to listen to. She's clearly a product of nepotism. Her daddy was the mayor of Salt Lake City. She pulled the Amy thing where she kept her maiden name, right? So she could be like, I'm a Wilson, just like my daddy. And then there's really nothing there besides that. When she talks, it's like, awful. Nails on a chalkboard. She looks awful. Too much. I just can't appreciate this. Sorry, the looks thing actually bothers me because we have a lot of people that like if she dressed better, she might look better, but it's dowdy looking, the whole thing.
Years ago, and then it didn't go through, and then the judge passed it this December. And if you want it to be a little bit more liberal, you probably don't want to sign the petition. This is to keep it more conservative. This is to repeal the Prop 4 that the judge passed.
There is a
He didn't say anything wrong. That's my whole point. If you don't have a problem with that, when you go up to the person, they have the packet, it actually has everything in it. You just have to finger through it and read it. Most people don't do that because they don't want to, or maybe they want to have the conversation, which can be more interesting anyway.
process to remove your name from the petition. But as Landon has since learned, removing your name is not as simple as signing.
Oh no, is it? I wonder if it's as hard as getting marijuana. That should be what she asked him. He looks like he smokes a lot of pot. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Let me send a quick text message here. Hold on. See, while we're doing the show today, one of my neighbors texted me saying they want to come over and sign the petition. So my advertising today has actually worked, and I had another neighbor also call while we were here. Hold on. Okay. Now let me show you. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is I think people need to hopefully we got to be a little more discerning about when we're listening to people and they're trying to tell us about our faith, for example. Okay, so I found this, just so you know. I've been blocked by a lot of people on social media. I know you're shocked. Very surprising. So I was looking, I think Troy Williams blocked me on Instagram. He doesn't really post on X anymore because he found that when he does that, he gets lots of negative comments. So he's gone to Blue Sky, which everybody knows what Blue Sky is all about. It's not good. And then he's on Instagram, Facebook, I think. But on Instagram, he blocked me, so I can't see it. So now I had to have I have another account I've been using, so I can look at people's stuff. Well, here's Equality Utah. They put out this statement, okay, and they're of course, I know you're surprised. Equality Utah is a pro open borders group, so they support the trans agenda. They support giving your kids. That means they support giving your kids porno books, letting men into women's bathrooms and locker rooms. They want to teach your kids about being trans. They want to allow them to be transitioned medically, so allow parents to sterilize and mutilate their kids. Okay, so I guess Melanie's running a little late. Okay, hold on. We're gonna have. Let me see. Let's see if Backbone from Brandy can come on earlier. Can you come on earlier? Okay. Sorry, we're doing this on the fly. Caroline Teaches Math says, I lasted 8 hours on Blue Sky until my account was suspended. Well, it's probably to your benefit. I've heard there's a lot of child exploitation material on Blue Sky. So I assume that people go on it because they want that. Not you, but some of these other people. Okay, so what I want to say here is, so he says here, he's talking, so I'm not going to read all of this. I just want to, there's a key point I want to make though. So in the last part, they say, for those guided by faith, they're talking, let's see. Oh, here's what he says. Perhaps most troubling are the events occurring on our own soil. Americans, regardless of party affiliation, are horrified by images of armed military spilling into American cities, targeting the weak and vulnerable, including children, and executing unarmed American citizens. Okay, so Renee Good she drove her car. A car is a weapon. She drove it into an agent and she got killed. She deserved it. Done. The pretty guy had a history of attacking ICE agents, right? That wasn't his first rodeo. And he shows up with a weapon. He was there to kill them. I'm sorry, but like, I don't really have an issue with what happened to either of them. I'm good. Our social media pages, inboxes, text chains, and dinner conversations are filled with alarm, concern, fear, and deep sadness. What is missing are your voices. He's writing to Cox, Senator Lee Curtis, etc. For those guided by faith and conservative principles alike, these are not partisan concerns, they are moral ones. Scripture repeatedly warns that rulers will be judged by how they treat the least of these, and our constitutional system was designed precisely to prevent the concentration and abuse of power. The founders understood that loyalty to the nation must always come before loyalty to any leader. Okay, here's my point. Troy Williams, this is signed by Troy Williams and Marina Lowe. They're not religious. Okay, Troy's not a Christian, Marina's not a Christian, neither of them are LDS. They're godless, and they're trying to use and weaponize faith against people of faith, and so you should not allow them to do that. When people that promote the trans agenda, so they will literally try to trans your children and convince them that they were born in the wrong body. You should not allow them to turn around and weaponize your faith against you and against your children. They don't know what faith is about. They don't know about Christ. They don't know about Christianity. These are not people who are Jesus followers. So why would you take their word on what Scripture says or what it means in a political context at all? And that's my thing, is I think people need to be more discerning when people that are evil, like these are bad people. They target children. They want to give your kids pornographic books. They were out there fighting to be able to give them nasty, disgusting, demented books where people talk about sexual acts in cartoon form to make your kids think what they're talking about in the book is normal, where they talk about transgenderism, non-binary stuff, all these weird things. They push those books on your young children. They want them in the schools. They think that your kids should be sexually transitioned at young ages and mutilated and sterilized for life. These are not people that have any sort of moral compass at all. Like, why would you listen to them? Why would you even allow them to weaponize faith against you? I think we have to be more discerning about it and reject this type of language from people that have no faith at all. As far as I can tell, I mean, they have a faith. Everybody has a faith. Theirs is just not real. Okay, we got back home with Brandy. So we'll bring her up. Hold on, I just lost it. Here we go. Hello, Brandy. How are you?
Hi, Goud. Trying to get my sign in there. There we go.
Okay, I like it. How are you doing today? What do you got for us?
I was just gonna do some ice stuff today. Oh, and I also brought along a special guest, my new dachshund.
Oh, he's cute. What's his name?
His name is Bali. Because his owner died and gave him kind of a goofy name, so I used what I could out of it. But
Okay.
he's blind.
Oh, how does that work does he know? I guess does he follow you around or something?
Yeah, he's actually really good with all his other senses. So he follows me everywhere, and he's become my new lap dog.
Well, that's nice.
I went to Indiana and picked him up kind of on a whim. So now he's going to join us because he sits on my lap wherever I go.
Well, that's nice. Oh my God.
He requested that we discuss ice because, Minneapolis, like I'm sure you've seen them on TV, they're kind of stealing all the thunder here. Illinois had a bunch of ice hoopla too, but I guess it hasn't been. I think the problem is, Goud, is that Illinois has fraud, but we haven't uncovered the fraud yet, so we don't need a distraction from the fraud.
Okay.
So
Maybe that's coming.
maybe soon. So we'll see.
Have you gone around and checked the daycares in your neighborhood?
Yeah, I have not, but I do find it funny because if all these people really did use those daycares, have you noticed there's no people on TV going, I have nowhere to bring my kid? Because typically you have moms crying, like, I got to go to work. There's nowhere to bring little Bobby. And nobody's out there upset that they're shut down. They're like, yeah, they're legitimate daycares. Yet nobody seems to be bothered that their kid can't go anymore.
Oh, that's a great point. Do you remember when we were growing up, my mom had a home daycare?
I do. I do. So
except it was legit. Like she actually had kids. I feel like she might have missed the fraud boat. Like, I need to go talk to her.
She wasn't getting billions of dollars and just not having any kids there.
Yeah,
you guys actually had. I remember every time we got into your station wagon, there was like extra diapers and everything everywhere.
Oh yeah, because you had to
and every once in a while, your dog bit one of the kids.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's good memories. But at least it was legit. So,
yeah, she had a real business, no fraud. I feel like she just didn't teach us well.
No, she should have told you how to get the billions.
I
know, never
right?
have to take care of anybody.
You don't need to go to law school. Just open a daycare.
That's what it would have been more fruitful, Goud. I should have opened a daycare too. We could have ran one together.
There still might be time.
I like when they scan the picture, like the people at the daycare running it, and it's like definitely not daycare workers. As somebody who's had a child that had dropped people off at daycare, those are not the faces of the daycare. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you notice it's mostly men running those daycares, which I just find to be really weird. And I don't mean to say this like a man couldn't do daycare, but it's strange. And the men that they show do not strike me as the type of men you'd want to leave your kids with anyway.
No.
Yeah.
No, they weren't like friendly grandpa looking people that you'd be like, oh. But as someone who used a lot of daycare, I can tell you it's a women's game typically. So, and I think that's what makes parents feel comfortable is dropping off to a nice lady that is going to like be very maternal with your kids. So,
yeah, I think so too. That makes sense to me, right? Like that's why I just think it just seems more natural. And then there's other aspects of having men do stuff like that I think just raise some questions. So
yeah, it was very sketchy, the whole thing. But I did notice that immediately we started having problems with ICE in Minneapolis, and all of a sudden we don't really seem to care about fraud at all. Hey, magically was like, oh, never mind. So, here, let me put my glasses on so we can get serious, Goud.
Okay.
So Illinois, apparently, I was going to start with what we've had going on. There's been a lot of controversy about just ICE immigration issues here, too. First, they kind of focused on the facilities. We have one in Broadview, and there's one up north and stuff that people say are not nice facilities. I don't know what people expect for an immigration detention center. Like one of the family members speaking about her dad going there, like described it like a prison. And it's kind of like, that's kind of the point, right? It shouldn't be Club Med, right?
Yeah, like get out.
Like you broke into the country and they didn't send you to Club Med to punish you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They sent you to a prison-like facility. She said it was like cinder block walls. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what they all are, right? So confusing. So like we've had a lot of that going on. And then we've had a lot of like drama with people getting picked up and stuff. Like we had one where it was one of the northern suburbs and the lady was being pulled over, but the story turned into she was a teacher at a daycare and that they took her in the middle of teaching a class at a daycare. But really she was just a person pulled over who ran into the vestibule of a daycare and they had to pull her out of the vestibule. And she wasn't a teacher, and there was no kids who saw it or anything, but that's just kind of how it goes here.
Oh, got it. That's the whole thing where if you're an illegal and you run inside of a business, then you get to stay.
You get, and I know there's been a lot of that. I know Bolingbrook made the news recently too because somebody being detained by ICE decided to go to Bolingbrook and run into the lobby. Like everybody kind of thinks that there's like zones you can't be picked up by, and they don't really understand that no matter if you put a sign in your lobby or not, like it's still fair game. Like you can put no ICE. It doesn't mean they can't come in. Like all our laundromats and stuff right now have like no ICE signs. And then all the mayors are going crazy. Like the mayor of Aurora, he's out there protesting against ICE. Like he was at a protest where protesters threw rocks through car windows, and he's out there like cheering with them. So all our mayors are kind of going crazy. I think the Batavia mayor, the St. Charles mayor, and they're all doing these symbolic things where they actually ban ICE from their villages, but you can't really do that. So it's like a symbolic ban because they can still come whether you like it or not.
Interesting.
So, and then they're putting a lot of pressure on mayors that don't want to do that, which makes no sense because you can't really do that. But the latest thing is we have two things going on right now. We have on January 12th, the apparently Illinois filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration on behalf of Illinois against ICE because they have a lot of beef with ICE right now. So now they're trying to sue the Trump administration, because Pritzker kind of is leading the way. And then we've got Johnson in Chicago also leading the way on that. So that just happened on January 12th. So I don't know where that's going to go, to be honest.
Okay.
Apparently, overall in the country, like Chicago and the Illinois area has a 500% increase in ICE activity since they came in September. So we had apparently a lot of cleanup to do when it came to illegal immigration. So we have like one of the biggest increases in the country and a huge ICE presence here. But we're just not making the news because, Minneapolis is kind of doing it all right now.
We want more ICE out here.
Do you guys, what's your presence like?
I haven't seen anything. I know there's some stuff going on, but I think there's more cooperation here, so you don't hear the controversy. But like Harriman, which is a town next to me, I live in Riverton. It's like full of illegal aliens, and I think they could just go door to door and
just get them all.
Yeah, I go to the I go to a grocery store. It's called Winco, and literally I'll go and nobody speaks English. It's the weirdest thing. None of the customers, and I'm like, I feel like I'm not even in America. Get these people out of here.
I love me some Home Goods. I don't know if you guys have Home Goods out there, but I go to Home Goods quite often. And when I go in, it rarely is anybody speaking English. It's either Spanish, and then it's I don't know if it's Russian or Polish, but those ladies are in there too. And then you have Middle Eastern ladies who not only aren't speaking English, they're on their phone. And I think what they're doing is they're showing their family members back in India or something, all the merchandise through their phone. And they're having these loud conversations, not in English, while showing item by item.
Oh my God.
And it's and everybody's talking so loud because I have no beef with people speaking other languages at home and stuff. But when they're out in public, they think that they can yell it. And because it's in another language, it's not loud. So it's very loud to me when you have three languages going on at once, and I'm at Home Goods. It's showing rug after rug.
We have Alex commenting. So Alex says, that's absolutely not the point. Immigration violations are civil, not criminal. Blah, blah. Why is the call-in line busy? Caroline teaches math, says, that's my Winco. The only English is at the register. That's true. So she's and then Alex says, not speaking English doesn't mean you're undocumented. I've met your mother, God, and she can't even speak English. That's not true, Alex. She can speak.
That is not true. She yelled at us plenty of times in perfectly good English, guys.
Yeah, I know. She has an accent, obviously.
Yeah.
Although I can't really.
Yeah,
I can't hear the accent, but she does have an accent.
Yeah, you're used to it because it's just mom. So, but I've understood both your parents.
Wait, then he says, hold on, he says, Melanie, I see you. Hold on, we'll wrap this up and we'll bring you on. But he says, also newsflash, just because someone isn't speaking English doesn't mean they can't speak English. Okay.
I never said they couldn't. I just said Home Goods got really loud, Alex. There's a lot of languages being screamed at the same time. And I'm just trying to buy some Home Goods because they got good deals.
Oh, man.
I'm here for some discount merchandise, and this is very loud.
Well, immigrants love discount merchandise.
I know. That's my problem, Goud. Everywhere I go, I'm mixed in with a lot of loud languages all at the same time. And I don't care. Like, you guys always spoke English in public.
Yeah, because it's totally rude not to. I mean, the thing is, like,
your parents spoke it to us in public, and then like you guys did your Indian language behind the scenes, but like in public,
It was more though because like when my grandmothers would come and visit, they couldn't speak English.
Oh, I'm aware, Scout. You used to make me go pick her up.
Yeah, so that language barrier kind of changes the dynamics. So
I'd be going to your house and you'd be like, "Can you grab my grandma on the way?" And I'd be like, "Sure," but she didn't speak any English, so it was just a very quiet ride. And she'd get in my old rickety Chevy Beretta.
See,
and I'd drive her very quietly over to you.
I will say, I do think by the time she passed away, that she actually understood more English than what she let on. And it's just because, yeah, because I think like all her grandkids knew English, or like, so that I think she had way more exposure to it. So it was clear that she understood more than what we thought she did.
She might have understood me the whole time, and she was just like, "That's a crazy white girl. I don't need to be hearing."
No, she couldn't respond. That's the thing, right? Like her English was so limited when she talked back to you.
But I have no beef with the other language. It's just very loud in the home goods now. And if you notice, I mentioned there's a Russian or Polish component going too, because they're all going to the home goods also, because apparently they like a discount. So it just everybody yelling at one time. Alex is my beef very loudly. So maybe if they whispered it a little softer, not all at the same time. Alex is back. Oh, great. Just back. Anyways, that wasn't my point at all.
We got a little. Okay, we have 2 minutes.
Illinois doing Trump. So we're going to have to like watch out for like see where this is going. But apparently they don't want any sort of like crowd control is one of their things. They make it sound really horrible. Like everywhere ICE goes, they were tear gassing people and stuff. So I don't want like any crowd control like that. But nothing like that's been happening at all around me. Like I don't think that's
Are you coming up for a reason?
Alex is here.
All of a sudden, there's mountains.
Oh, Alex has a comment. Okay, Alex, we only have a minute left, so we gotta be quick.
Oh wait, I had more to say. Alex is.
No, you gave all your time to Brandy. Brandy with an I complaining about people not speaking English. I mean, let's talk about that one. All right.
What?
My parents were hippies, Alex. It's not my fault. I wanted to talk about the 2 boys that are from Chicago that are up there videotaping in Minneapolis.
Oh my God!
Did you hear about those boys?
Yeah, aren't they in high school?
Yes, they're being homeschooled by their parents so they could go to Minneapolis and film and intervene with ICE.
That's insane.
And they're 16 and 17, and their parents are homeschooling so they could go up and do this. Are you okay with that, Alex? You think that's okay to pull kids out of school so they can go fight ICE?
I don't care. Listen, I want to go back to the conversation about people being godless. Mr. Maragani, I'd like you to name 2 books in the Bible, please. 2 books. Name 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. Mark and Matthew.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
What is your point, Alex?
Where's Alex's face?
You can't criticize other people for being godless.
I missed this conversation.
I don't know where we're going.
Were you criticizing people for being godless? Did I miss
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Or were you criticizing them for being goudless? Because nobody should be goudless.
Godless.
Maybe that's what it was. I misheard.
I think you mishear a lot, Alex.
What's that?
Okay. You got anything else?
Like his background's not even Montana. Like what the hell? It's just
That's Salt Lake City.
Yeah, like did he just call in to harass us, Goud?
I think so. Okay, well, we are at 6:31. I gotta go to the next
I'm just calling to give you a liberal point of view, if you don't mind. All right. Is that like triggering for you snowflakes? Okay, first of all,
I just want to go to home.
Well,
they have good deals, Alex.
They can't speak
just
English.
leave the home goods alone.
Alex doesn't mean that they're illegal.
I didn't say they were. We were talking about speaking other languages out loud. I didn't say they were illegal. I just said home goods got loud.
Gal said that he went down to to the Aldi or whatever it's called, and because those people weren't speaking English, they were all illegals. It's not
I don't
true.
think he said that though. He just said no one was speaking English.
They are illegal. They're mostly illegals.
And
Okay,
also, I just have to say,
correct.
with the ICE people running around masked, breaking windows, imprisoning Americans, I don't think that's anything that we want. Imagine when the other side does that. Imagine when it's like, you know.
Well, they have to wear masks because they're being doxxed. Like,
yeah,
people want to pick them up to be killed and stuff. So they got to wear masks. They didn't initially start wearing masks. That kind of morphed into it later on. And I don't think they're actually imprisoning Americans. Like, some people get detained and then they're usually let go. So,
well, and the Americans are usually detained because they attack them, which is okay.
Yeah.
And as for the masking part, the leftist protesters wear masks all the time. I don't even want them to do that.
And what you said
well,
about,
Antifa's been wearing masks.
Yeah.
That situation with, what was that guy's name? Alex Pretty?
Surprise, surprise, you guys share the name.
Republicans themselves have said that they've acknowledged that that was too much, that was not okay. I mean, it is possible these masked people who are untrained to make mistakes on video.
They're not untrained. Yeah, maybe they made a mistake, but he already had a history with them of attacking them. So
yeah, he had a history, and like a lot of chaos happens, and it's really
not armed at the time that he was shot in the back.
He was armed.
He brought a gun to a protest, which is not a good idea. And then secondly, like
he has a Second
Amendment right chaos, and everybody.
Well, hold on,
wants to be a
actually, Brandy, he wasn't at a protest. He was there to interfere with their operations.
Yes.
They had protests going on in Minneapolis. He was not at them.
He was there to interfere, and everybody wants to be a couch quarterback. But here's the thing: it's very easy. Alex, it's very easy to judge.
An ICE agent pulls his gun out and shoots Pretty in the back. There is a video of that. That's not at issue. And Republicans
so what you're doing is you're being a couch quarterback.
You're not backpedaling.
Okay, slow down. You're being a couch quarterback. It's easy when you see the video and to replay everything second by second to see what's going on. But when you're in real time and somebody comes up to you and they're in your face and they're screaming and chaos ensues and you're trying to wrestle them to the ground and they're fighting back, do I think he deserved to die? No. But when all this chaos happens and you've got a guy with a gun being aggressive, things happen. That's what happened with Renee Good too. I don't think she deserved to die, but she was in the middle of all this chaos and running people over with her vehicle. It's bad decisions on their part. There's a way to do it and a way not to do it, and they kind of caused the chaos. And it's a shame that people died. I'm not for that, but what do you do when somebody's doing that?
Completely, but the chaos does not negate their rights, their civil rights. And if these officers were trained, that's why they're trained. They're trained to respond appropriately and lawfully in chaos. And if they can't do that, they shouldn't be putting on masks and carrying guns and going out and fighting with people who are well within their rights for the behavior they have.
No, they're not. You can't go and interfere with law enforcement operations like they're doing. That is totally.
And he wasn't just. It's not like they pushed him to the ground and then he stayed there. He was fighting back. So you have multiple officers trying to restrain this
person. I agree that you can't go and interfere with law enforcement, but the penalty for that is not death in the street.
Well, no, with Renee Good, she was trying to run them over. And honestly, like, let's say she was trying to move out of the way at that point in time. The officer has no way to know that. He already got hit once.
Well, and like I said, everyone wants a couch quarterback. When you're in real time, and these are seconds, you don't know what's going on sometimes. Someone's charging a car at you. How do you determine if this car is going to hit you or not in a split second? It's very hard to do that in real time.
That's why you don't
on video, you can go, okay.
Out on the street, and that's what they've done. And I'll tell you something else.
Well,
let's grant that both of those deaths were justified. That doesn't mean that ICE isn't doing wrong. That doesn't mean that they're lawfully out there breaking windows and pulling Americans out of their car and putting them into prison. And like I said in the chat, immigrants to be imprisoned in inhumane conditions. That is not the point of prisons. Prisons have to provide humane conditions for people who are in them. And immigration violations are civil violations, not criminal violations.
But their description of the holding facilities are basically the same you get in like when someone gets put in like their local jail. It's a cinder block room with like a very little padded seat. Like they're not getting anything different than like if you got arrested by your local police. It's the same. It's not pleasant. Prison, like jail, is not supposed to be comfy. So you don't get a recliner and pictures to look at. Maybe a pretty mural. Like it's just not how it works.
Okay, whoa. We gotta end the segment. I'm sorry. Alex, you should have called in earlier.
Yeah, Alex.
He tried, but our line was down.
Ran until 7.
Yeah,
I tried early. You gave too much time to the other guests. What I thought this show ran for 7. That's 22 minutes away.
No, we have another guest on. Okay.
I will let you go, but if Alex wants to come back and we'll debate later, I'll be happy to do a debate with Alex.
Okay. We could do it next week. Okay, thanks, Brandy.
No problem. Sorry, Gab. It's been a pleasure. See you next time.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, and now we've got Melanie Monastery. Hey, Melanie, how are you?
Hey, Goud. Thank you for having me on your show. You know, I've got to say, you are doing great work with the Salt Lake tax referendum. And you and I met years ago when we were both getting involved in local politics. And I am proud to say that that you and that I am your friend and that we go way back. And I really have enjoyed watching the work that you're doing.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. Well, thanks for coming on. I said earlier, you're the vice chair of the state GOP, right? I don't think you're still involved with Summit County.
That's right. I'm the vice chair of the state GOP.
Okay. Well, so I wanted you to come on so you could talk about. I thought we could talk about 2 things: the Prop 4 repeal efforts, and then also the caucuses coming up. So maybe do you want to tell us what the party is trying to do in terms of repealing Proposition 4?
Sure. Well, absolutely. And I do want to preface that by saying that the party is actually not behind that effort at all. It is a nonprofit called Utahns for Representative Government. And the reason for that, you know, on a surface level, what we're looking at with this ballot measure, you know, it's a referendum that'll put the decision to Utah voters. Signing does not make the decision. It just puts it on the ballot in November. And the 2 choices we have right now are either, you know, choice A, under our Utah Constitution, it provides that our congressional districts will be drawn by our elected representatives in the legislature. Choice B is the situation that we are currently in, where we had a ballot measure back in 2018 called Prop 4 that created a redistricting commission, and many of you are familiar with that. The problem is the maps that we have right now, because there's been years of litigation, most recently a decision in November, that actually where a judge chose a map for our congressional districts that did not go through the districting commission process at all. So what we have currently is a map that not only didn't comply with our constitutional provision to be chosen by the legislature, it also didn't go through the Prop 4 process. So what we can do with the ballot referendum is we can make a choice. Do we want to, you know, stick with, you know, the law as it stands with Prop 4 on the books, or do we just want to, you know, say no and take that off the books? And that will get us back to our constitutional provisions, where our elected representatives who are accountable to us, the voters, are the ones drawing the maps.
Okay. And so, you know, like one of the things that was said in one of the videos that I played was that they thought it was misinformation to say that this would return it to the people. And so maybe, do you have thoughts on that? If Prop 4 is repealed, I think you kind of talked about this already, but how does that return it back to the people in terms of drawing maps?
It returns it to the people because what we have currently is that an individual judge picked the map. And that's a judge who is not elected by anyone, is not accountable, and it was not chosen by the people. And under our Constitution, it provides that our legislature, which is our elected members of the Utah House, they will choose the map. And so those are people who are accountable to us. If we don't like what they're doing, we can vote them out of office. And that's the way it was set up. And I believe it's also in our federal constitution that the state legislatures draw the maps, because the idea is, our republic is a representative form of government, and we are putting our representatives in place to do our will, and that they're accountable to the voters.
Okay. And then if people want to sign, how do they find out where they can go to do that?
We have a website, or the organization does, UFRG, that's Utahns for Representative Government.org. And if you go to the calendar, it'll show you all the locations day by day. That is updated not only daily, throughout the day, because we've just got a lot of great volunteers out there who are working hard to support this effort.
Okay. I have noticed, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. Every time I go somewhere, there are protesters that have been out kind of, like don't sign. And I've seen it, because it impacts us as well in terms of trying to get signatures for the Axe the Tax effort. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Or how are you guys dealing with those efforts?
So what has happened is that it appears, and this is kind of all shrouded in mystery in terms of who's paying. These are paid people who are protesting, trying to prevent Utahns from signing, trying to prevent the exercise of our rights and to silence our voices. They're paid protesters. They have I think something like a 30-day time limit before the disclosures have to be made in terms of where the money is coming from to pay them. And it looks like what we're seeing is it appears to be the same out-of-state dark money org that originally got Prop 4 in place in the first place. And so it appears that it may be the same people. But what's interesting about that is that that organization, or at least its, I believe its bank account, was shut down. And yet previously, and yet the new protesters are linking to that same, in theory, defunct organization, but apparently brought back to life for this purpose. So what we've been hearing is that they have already spent $2 million in Utah trying to prevent. And like I said, this doesn't even make the decision. We're just trying to get it on the ballot so Utah voters have a voice. If someone's spending $2 million trying to prevent you from having a voice, that's something we need to pay attention to. And what we have heard from a lot of our gatherers who do this a lot is that they have never seen, they've never faced this kind of, violence, abuse of gatherers, abuse of people signing. They've never seen it. This is unprecedented in years of doing this. So I think, when you look at somebody trying to fight that desperately to prevent this from happening, that just tells me that we're doing the right thing, that we need to do this. This is protecting our rights. And it's very, very concerning.
Oh, that's really it's so interesting, because no matter where you guys have an event, like I came to Tushar the other day, there were protesters outside, and I was like, how did they, I just heard about this event today. How do they have people that show up everywhere, no matter what? But it makes sense that if they're getting paid, that there's a little bit more coordination going on that makes that possible.
That's right. And I actually stopped by, a site that we had in Salt Lake City on Saturday, and I expected protesters. And when I asked the gatherers, I said, "Where are your protesters today?" They said, "Well, I think the protesters are being paid by an organization." They said, "Well, they're not here because they were assigned to the ICE protest." So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that's going.
Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, so then next, and then I guess, how long do you guys have to collect signatures? The deadline?
The last day we can turn in the booklets is February 15th. However, there's a new law on the books that if someone writes down their email address prior to turning it into the clerk, we actually have to log that email address in so that we can send them an email about the measure. And that means that we need a few days of lead time. So we really can't wait till the 15th. We need them, probably at the very latest, I would say that on the February 12th would be realistic because we've got to get those into the office, get them processed, and then get them back out to the clerks where they belong. And that's all over the state.
That is insane. I got to tell you, I think that there's way too many hoops you have to jump through to be able to do these things. I almost wonder if they should change the law and let people who want to run initiatives and referendums, or I don't know, you'd have to have some restrictions on this, but send postcards out and then have people sign the postcards if they want to support it and send it back. Because they say that mail-in voting is like 100% secure and effective and whatever. I don't see why we couldn't just do that and have the exact same effect.
I am not a fan of mail-in voting. I'm a believer in having people come in person, both for voting and, unless they have a medical issue or they're, overseas on a mission, overseas with the military. I'm a believer in people coming in unless they have a really good reason not to. So I don't think I could get behind that effort, Goud.
I'm just throwing that out there since they want to do mail voting. I just feel like we should make them use it for everything. Okay, caucuses. So talk about caucuses. To me, we need as many people as possible to come out to the caucuses, get involved. When are they? What should people expect?
That's what we want. Caucus night for both Democrats and Republicans this year is on St. Patrick's Day. So I believe that's March 17th. And we'll be having our events, Republican events are for registered Republicans. So if you want to participate in our caucus night, you might want to check your registration status. You can do that on the Lieutenant Governor's website. And make sure that you're all set there. And what caucus night is just very few states have caucuses anymore. And this is one of the things that I think makes Utah politics really exceptional. And Goud, you and I have both experienced our state convention. And that's, it's a really great experience. And caucus is all part of that process. When you go to caucus night, and it's typically at local high schools in your area. You'll be seated with a group that's from your immediate neighborhood, and that's your precinct. And that group will hold some mini elections there. Whoever wants to run to be the precinct chair and vice chair, they can run if you want to run for a position. And in Salt Lake County, I know these can be very competitive, and with a lot of people wanting to run for those positions. So if you'd like to do that, you might want to have some short speeches prepared, probably no more than about a minute or so. Is that right, Goud? Is that what they do at Salt Lake County?
I think so. Yeah, they'll let you give a little speech. It just depends on your caucus location, how long that could be. But I would say it should be shorter.
Very short, exactly. Yeah. And then you'll be competing against anyone else who wants to run. So it's an important position where you're representing. The precinct chair and vice chair will represent their neighborhood for the next 2 years in the party, and either you can also run to be a state delegate and a county delegate. And what that does is it gives you a spot at your county convention, in the case of the county, or at the annual state convention. And those are really, I've found to be great experiences, because you get to go in, you get to meet every candidate, you get to actually ask questions and get to know the people who you will be voting for. And then we vote, and we select our party nominees for not only Congress, the Senate, the U.S. Senate, governor, you name it. We select all those nominees. And, we have an added wrinkle in Utah that once convention is over, those candidates, typically there will be a primary in most races, and those candidates will be on a primary ballot. And that's the next hurdle to making it on the November ballot.
Okay. So Susan Beretta says, at a point I was told when I held precinct positions, precinct chair leadership must be in place before a precinct can have delegates, at least in Salt Lake County. So I think what they'll do is in places where there's not a precinct chair already, they'll reach out and try to have someone at least stand in for the caucus, because that person will get up and read all the instructions and stuff like that. We had that in my caucus this last time, because the guy who was doing it was the precinct chair, and then he resigned before the caucus, but he still came in and at least read the instructions and stuff. So that's the point. And then I was going to say, last time there were some technical difficulties in Salt Lake County that caused some crashes at different sites and made it more difficult for people to participate, right? It just took a long time to get everybody registered and in. Have there been any efforts to make it so that doesn't happen again this year?
Absolutely. We have a new system this year. Of course, it always helps to go online and pre-register, and we'll be putting out that link here very soon. But this year we have an app, and what's great about it is that it will be updated, and your local voter registration list will be stored locally, so that we've really tried to proof this new system from what happened 2 years ago. And you probably are aware, Goud, that there was actually an attack on the server. That was a malicious attack, and that was why it was intentionally taken down by a cyber attack during registration. So the new system will be an app-based, and what's great about it is it's going to be on the local computers at the check-ins, in the high schools, so that it should have a lot more rigor and be more technologically robust in terms of an attack.
Okay. Any closing thoughts on caucus night?
Yes, please get out to caucus night. It's super important. This is a unique experience that we have here. Very few states do caucus anymore. And it really gives you a chance to get involved, to know who you're dealing with, know who your representatives are. You will meet the people who will eventually get elected. And it's just a really great way to get more involved and help your community, and really to understand more about what's really going on, and get past the TV news and get past the headlines.
Okay. Where can people find you, Melanie, if they want to follow you?
Let's see. I have got a Facebook account. I guess I'm kind of old school. And my bio is on the Utah GOP website also.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Goud. I appreciate you.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, well, so there you go, guys. This has been a hot little show, I think, huh? But yeah, I totally encourage everybody, please. First of all, sign the Axe the Tax petition. You have until Monday. I think you should also sign the petition to repeal Prop 4. You have until the 15th, but get out there and get it done. Like, to her point, they have to do all this additional work, so let's get it done. And then finally, March 17th, mark it on your calendars, caucus night, be there, get involved. It's actually a fantastic opportunity, to her point. You'll meet so many of the people that are running for office. You'll have their phone numbers. You'll be able to talk to them. You'll be able to ask them tons and tons of questions in a way that you never would if all you do is you participate in the primary and the general election. So great opportunities to get involved and also become a precinct chair. Like I said, when I went, nobody wanted to do it. And so I ended up being the precinct chair. But I do think you know, like people should be excited to do it. It's an interesting position and it's a great way to get to know your neighbors. Let's see, we have some more comments. We'll read these. Alex says the whole show is a technical difficulty. I don't know what he's talking about. And let's see. Alex said, yeah, I was trying to call in, but your line is dead. I'm assuming because you didn't pay your bills, you deadbeat. That is not true, Alex. Caroline Teaches Math says, hey, Alex, a quote, a liberal bit a federal agent's finger off. I saw that. That's pretty disgusting that they did that. And then all of those damn whistles. That's true. Yeah, they blow whistles at these protests, which can damage your ears. So, you know, and actually, if you're a conservative and you go to the protest, they'll blow those whistles in your ears and cause damage to your hearing. So it's insane. Oh okay, so Mr. Producer says it is because we didn't pay our bill because the credit card expired. Okay, I guess that was true. Oh man, Alex actually said one thing that was true on the show today. Congrats. I'm just kidding. Actually, you know, to be fair about this, we are good friends, and Brandy knows Alex too, so we can actually all have I think it's good to have these types of debates and conversations, and so I will have both Brandy and Alex back, and we can have a full-on debate. I think it could be really fun. It's good to have different viewpoints. It's good to get things out there and have discussions about stuff and to freely talk about them, because it just shows you, because I'll tell you, like, even though Alex and I are really opposites on politics, I would say we probably agree on something like 80 or 90% of the issues. Like, we both think things should be transparent. We're both anti-corruption. So to be fair about this, we may not agree on some issues, but there's a lot of areas we agree. And I think you find that across the board generally. So we will do a debate, because I think that was getting pretty heated, but that's good to have those types of conversations. Now, finally, I want to close by saying this. We are getting into election season. And so what I want to do as we do this is we'll have everybody come on. I'll try to have all the candidates on like I've done in the past. I will not endorse people. I'll try to stay away from that, and and when they come on, I'll give them fair interviews so that they can make their case. Because I think at the end of the day, it's about you being able to make decisions and having your questions answered versus my personal political goals, right? And you know, I have my own ways that I can go and accomplish my goals without having to do it on this show. So we will try to have everybody on. There's a lot of people running for a lot of positions, and actually I'd love to have people from both parties. So if you're a Democrat and you want to come on, happy to have you. No issues there at all. So Mr. Producer says it would be cool to have a town hall. Yeah, except we can do it on here. The problem is, like, Alex and Brandy don't live in the States. So, but yeah, we should do a town hall. Okay, let's see. Alex says searches Amazon for whistles. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, and then he wants to give a shout out. I don't know what that's about, so I'm not going to read that. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, you've been listening to the Goud Crowd. Thank you for listening. We are on every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can hear me on my X handle, which is at Goud4 Utah. And actually, in between shows, that's the best place to be able to follow things that I'm talking about. And also, you can listen to us at KMMU. You can listen. Is it Main Street Media Utah? I always forget. You can go to their X handle, also YouTube and Rumble. So we're on all these different sites. I should be better remembering this. Well, Main Street Media Utah on X, Rumble, and YouTube. Those are the other places you can listen to us. Just to close, Susan Beretta says Utah Ford has candidates in 22 races this year. Okay, we will try to have them on as well. And then she said, ask the independent, I think IAP's Independent American Party why they have no candidates running in state races. Okay, we can do that. I'll have to figure out who the head of that is, and then we can have them on as well. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. We'll be back next Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.